Hello, welcome, and Happy New Year. Today I'm finally back in action to talk about another piece of the Isle lore. However, for today, unlike my last few videos, I want to talk about some news and go over it a bit differently than I have done before. So without further ado, if it isn't already obvious from the video's title, today I'll be talking about the Terminal. Now, what's that? Well, some of you may already know something thanks to Turkish Delight's video. His video is in the description below. But for those more casual lore and news people, I'm not expecting you guys to really know. So, long story short, Dondi had revealed that Terminal had existed within the Isle. This was when Rex, Elder and the UI update was still in horde testing. And that it was accessible for any and all to try, if they knew the password. He gave us no clues, no hints, nothing, technically. All he did was press play on a server, and while he was on the loading screen, he pressed something on his keyboard, and once he did that, a password prompt appeared. He then put in a password, which was all hidden, then a green terminal appeared. End of segment. And now we finally have cracked it. At least we did a month ago, but I'll explain what I mean later. In the meantime, Lightclaw, how do I access this? Fair warning, still work in progress, so it isn't amazingly jaw-dropping or revolutionary. Keep that in mind. Nonetheless, how do we get in? Thanks to Dinglebringer on the 16th of December 2025 on the Isle official Discord, we were able to find that the first password to get the password prompt is Apollo, as in A-P-O-L-L-O, the Greek god, and the name of the company behind the Isle in the lore. If nothing happens, make sure to press the delete button, not the backspace button. If you have a smaller keyboard, just open up the Windows virtual keyboard and press it, then type in Apollo again. Now, what's the password? The second password. It is Welcome Islander. No space, no dots, and I also recommend no capitals. Just Welcome Islander and done. You now have access to the terminal, the console, whatever you want to call it. Just a heads up, about 9 times out of 10, because you have to do this while on a loading screen, you almost always have 30 seconds to do this until you're pushed into the server you've selected. I have found that logging on the terminal being the first thing you do when you boot the game, it may help let it last infinitely, it may even help trying to join to the QA server when it is your first time, but it's always very 50-50. Now, getting that out of the way, discussion. I think there were 3 disappointing aspects to come out of this, but also one excitingly big one too, whether you were involved in the community or just watching from the sidelines of this event. The first is that this was datamined. At least the terminal and second password was in some way or another. Not to the extent of the Rex data mining situation, which was more than just data mining, but it was terribly disappointing that this could be spoiled in a way that feels unnatural. And by the looks of it, it disappointed a lot of regulars and casuals alike. We don't believe we found it, the second password, naturally. There had been a YouTube video posted by a YouTube channel, and their comments were terribly cryptic to the point of it likely being someone who I'd known from data mining. Nonetheless, during that day we found out, and a few days that followed, there had been many discussions about the ethics of using data mining for lore hunting. Did it likely make it easier for us to find the terminal? Sure. But this was where the second disappointing aspect comes in. I believe this was shown too early. Of course, this was just a teaser, a work in progress. It was small but neat, not out of the ordinary for lore people like myself to see. We are used to getting little bits and pieces, and with a low-key video too with low production, but usually lore-driven pieces over the years. But with this, I feel like it was shown far too early. As you may be seeing from the gameplay in this video, it's not purely bare bones, but it is very clearly a work in progress. I wasn't expecting massive lore reveals, but maybe I was expecting a bit of lore to come out of it, at least. I would love to know if Dondi is trying to implement some way to download files from the game, like glance sheets or maybe some lore videos. I have no idea how difficult that would be. I'm not a programmer. There were just quiet expectations in the back of my mind for something like this. Lore is always low priority, and I understand that. But upon viewing the terminal, it is sad that it is visually very simplistic with no real visual effects, not even on the level of the main menu. Now, my last disappointment, and something that I have been thinking about for a long while now since, and kind of why this video took way longer than expected. Was this a lore hunt? This is where expectations and assumptions triumph over reasonability and humility and many other things that go against the former. I do not mean to pick on anyone in the community, because I put myself to blame for hyping this up a lot, especially with naming this as a lore hunt like the last. And I think it's a shame. And so there is a terrible, terrible amount of mixed feelings. So again, I have to ask, was this truly a lore hunt? And look, my answer is no. I think until the Isle is forgotten, someone, most probably myself, will always refer to this as the second lore hunt, at least in regards to the Isle Evrima. But in truth, the actual content and structure that makes up a lore hunt, scavenger hunt, was just not there. The actual ability to find these things were basically impossible. If data miners had never helped, as we believe they did, we may still be on the final password page till this day for quite a while now. And so, without any clues or context, we were pretty much left in the open. Both Apollo and Welcome Islander were far too broad. We also saw that, on stream, Dondi had put in 4 digits for the second password, yet Welcome Islander has considerably a lot more. This lore hunt also had no lore. Sure, you could say the last lore hunt, the first, technically had no lore to it, but the actual scavenger part was there, alongside its lore context for the scavenger part. We had followed the Diabloceratops video's description and the location to find the thing that the description said was needed to be found, the trail camera. And if you had a good eye, the hunt continued by putting in the code it had etched on it, which sadly led to something that didn't really have lore. Disappointing, but still was a lore hunt that used lore to its advantage. And being the first proper lore hunt, Dondi did comment that it was going to be small and pretty lackluster, so it was a test. So, is the second lore hunt a lore hunt? No, definitely not. But again, I placed the title on that, which is my fault, and I'm sorry about this. And I hope anyone who engaged with the second lore hunt can forgive me. But now, looking forwards. The part that actually makes me hopeful and excited for just the general lore in the future. Even though this might take a very, very long time, I do think this is a good step in the right direction from Dondi and the team. The terminal itself, just its existence, is a clear indication of solid future lore plans. I hope those labels on the terminal are not just default template text. If they are truly intentional, then we may finally be moving towards proper integrated lore in-game, like we were so close to getting oh so long ago. Maybe the terminal will replace the extras tab. Maybe when we find something in-game, it gets sent to the terminal. Maybe we access lore files directly through it, and so no more needing to post them in Discord. We may finally find lore and get it somewhere safe and downloadable, so we don't need low quality screenshots. This is what I'm excited about, but of course, it still needs work. This is where we'll end this discussion for the terminal, for now. If anything happens to it from time to time, do expect live streams and maybe a video if it's big enough. Plus commentary from this annoying Lightclaw guy who can't contain his excitement every time one little thing changes. I probably should stop watching paint dry. Alas, thank you for watching this video. I hope you have a wonderful time. And so hopefully I shall see you in the next video with a bit more lore next time. See you later. Goodbye.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.